Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, building experiences that connect, remove friction, and deliver insights. Well, hi everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Ed Kless, and with me today is Jake Jones. Jake is the CPA and controller of LeaseQuery. He has over 9 years of experience working with technology and healthcare companies to provide assurance over financial statements and identify areas for operational improvements. Prior to LeaseQuery, Jake was the senior manager at Cherry Bekaert. He received his Master's of Accounting from the University of Georgia. Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, Jake Jones.
Thanks, Ed. Happy to be here.
Well, first off, Jake, why do you do what you do?
Accounting's just super exciting. I went to University of Georgia, got my accounting degree, started out in public accounting with Cherry Bekaert, and really kind of early in my career, really gravitated towards technology companies. I was lucky to work, well, lucky or unlucky, it was a lot of work with some of these smaller companies as they got their accounting functions in place, had their first year audits that would be required when either they maybe took on some debt or had some investors that required it. But for me, it was kind of my way of getting to be part of the entrepreneurial sphere without having to take that type of risk, because I'm very risk averse. And so I'm not going to be the one laying all my money on the line to go out there and start a startup. But getting to be a part of that ecosphere, seeing some of the cool things a lot of these tech companies were doing, and these founders are just growing these things like rocket ships. And so getting to be a part of that, giving them, like you mentioned earlier, operational improvements, things I've seen at other startups that could help them as they continue to grow, and then kind of helping line them up for their continued growth or either a potential exit. And so, made the transition from public accounting to LeaseQuery, and now just kind of helping them do the same thing from the internal side. So working on getting better processes and controls in place, and then, lining us up for future growth and wherever the road takes us. So.
Talk a little bit more about that you have recently done a project to help automate the accounting and finance functions at LeaseQuery.
Yeah, you see that a lot. When I came in, a lot of the tasks that we were doing were more administrative tasks, right? The team would be kind of bogged down after we got close done doing, more administrative filings, day-to-day kind of more just routine things, and doing the critical thinking, the cleanup, some of the stuff we needed to do. So, I've been very lucky. Our CFO, Jim Fitzgibbons, working with him and the rest of the team to outsource a lot of that stuff to service providers, the filings, the more administrative stuff, so that frees the team up to really have more, critical thinking, be able to work on the critical thinking activities, do the more in-depth, like technical stuff, clean up accounts, and the things that really involve a lot more deep thought and more intense work, instead of kind of just the process driven, like do this step, this one, to get those things done. So we've came a long way since I started in November. And I think the team overall is happier that now they better understand, the end goal, what they're doing to help get there. And they can be more involved in the process, as opposed to, hey, just go execute A, B, and C, and then, clock out for the day. So that's been a big change. I feel like they're really good for the team.
And can you give me an example of where the better critical thinking has paid off for you guys, where that, transition from just doing the robotic woke, so to speak, to something that's been able to bear fruit for the organization?
Yeah, I mean, it's really the whole team, just them seeing the bigger picture has been super helpful to the organization, because they, if we get something comes in, a weird account or transaction or something, they're able to come to me with thoughts on, how we could address it, or what we might need to do, who we should talk to outside of just the accounting department, right? Because we have to be a liaison with sales. We got to pay their commissions. We have to talk with, payroll and HR. And so just having them being more forward thinking and thinking through all the different areas a transaction or something may impact has been super helpful to me. And having them really more involved and taking those types of things into consideration.
Is there a specific decision that you think was made better by the fact that you guys were able to do this analysis as you think about it? Like one thing that stands out, say, hey, this was a better decision because we've had time to think about it.
I don't know if it's just the time to think about it. I guess it's more of that we can be, we're more agile, I guess. Like if we try this one thing first and we're able to pivot to another solution quicker, just because everyone's kind of thinking of the different areas it may impact and the ways we could approach it. And we've got a great team there. Also, we're looking currently for an accounting manager. So if anyone's listening to this and looking to join a good team, but I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is that it's no longer just like, hey, do these steps and then you're done for the day. It's like, hey, these are the overall bigger tasks as a team we have to accomplish, and having everyone thinking towards those goals has really been the change in the thought process there.
And Jake, we have an exit question that we ask all of our guests, and that is, who is a hero of yours and why are they a hero?
So, I saw this question was going to come up, and to me, it's almost like the 5-year, where are you going to be in 5-year question? Because it always changes. Like, I feel like people have different heroes at different times in their life for different reasons. And I saw the question. I actually even texted both my sisters, and I was like, hey, I've got this question coming up on a podcast. What are y'all's answers? And they couldn't give me a straight answer either. And so, really, I've said my dad at times. My grandfather passed away from COVID almost 2 years ago now, I guess. So he was a hero to me in a lot of ways. But I mean, I think at this point in my life, I've really just tried to surround myself with friends and family who have been heroes to me at different points in their life for different reasons and the struggles that they went through. And so, it's really hard to narrow down to one hero, I guess. But I like to take the different experiences I've heard people talk through and the things they went through, and I can use those or reach out to them to help me when I need support or need someone to kind of walk me through. So that wasn't a great answer, maybe not even an answer to the question, but it's just really hard for me to narrow it down to one person, because a lot of people influence me and support me in that way. So. And
lastly, Jake, how can somebody contact you?
So, connect with me on LinkedIn. I've got spurts of being active on there, but I check it pretty frequently. My email is jake.jones@leasequery.com. And then also, if you want to learn more about LeaseQuery's partnership with Sage, you can always shoot us an email at partners@leasequery.com also.
All right. We will put that email address in the description of the show. Jake Jones, thanks so much for being a guest on the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.
Appreciate it, Ed. Thanks.
Review and subscribe by searching your podcast player of choice for Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.